So the only thing that you can renounce, or in simpler terms, leave, Tyag, is what you do not have. When Buddha and his wife Yasodhara met, Yasodhara asked Siddhartha if he could not have achieved staying at home what he and everyone says he has achieved by going to the forest. Buddha could not reply back. He had no answer. Of all the people, he had no answer to his wife's questions. Tyag, you cannot leave something you already have. You can only leave what you do not. This is the absurdity of life. Ego, pride, anger, lust, you are attached to the ideas of theirs. They do not exist in fact. Thus you have nothing to leave. Tyag is not a requirement for awareness. Awareness is what exists irrespective of what you leave or what you get attached to. The Dhammapad states that mind precedes all mental states. So everything comes from the mind. Everything is based on the mind and is formed by it. This statement from the Buddha, it might have emerged from the realization that living a physical environment does not guarantee stillness, because stillness is ever existing. The realization of this can happen at any moment, in any place or time. Thus his silence upon being asked by his wife. You are the self, Atman. There is no anger in the self. Running away from problems do not bring solutions or enlightenment. Staying with the problems and understanding the true nature of those problems is where you realize that there is nothing to renounce. Yasodhara's question, it is profound. It touches the core of whether enlightenment is a result of external renunciation or internal transformation. Buddha's silence, it reveals that the true path may not be as simple as living behind the material world, but rather involves confronting and understanding the attachments that bind us. This reminds us of the story of Nachiketa from the Katha Upanishad, who, in his search for truth, gets awarded 3 wishes from Yamaraj, the god of death. With his last wish left, Nachiketa asks Yama to reveal the secret of what happens after death. Yama, having provided Nachiketa's 2 wishes already, now tells him that he would be provided with wealth, power and pleasures if he refrains from seeking the answer to his final question, since the question has also disappointed the gods. But Nachiketa wanted to go beyond mere appearance, for he knew that wealth, power and worldly pleasures would expire. He wanted to know the external. He wanted to know the eternal, that which does not perish. Through Nachiketa's determination, Yama was compelled to reveal the truth, that the Atman, the true self, is eternal, beyond death and untouched by worldly attachments. This knowledge was not something to be obtained by renouncing the world, but rather a realization of something always present, merely obscured by the illusion of attachment. Nachiketa's untiring pursuit mirrored Yasodhara's question to Buddha, exposing the profound truth that what we seek does not require us to leave, but to realize. Tyag, in its purest form, is not about discarding physical belongings or people, but rather the illusions of ego, pride, and anger that cloud our perception. These emotions are not intrinsic to our true selves, but are products of the mind and body. The self, the Atman, is untouched by them. The Atman is pure consciousness, beyond anger or pride. Attempting to escape problems only postpones the inevitable realization that the solutions are not out there. True enlightenment is in understanding that there is in fact nothing to leave. It's about a fundamental shift in awareness, realizing that all the attachments we imagine we carry do not belong to our true selves. By staying with our problems, understanding them deeply, and seeing them for what they are, temporary and constructed, the idea of renunciation dissolves. What remains is a state of profound liberation, where there is nothing to cling to and ultimately nothing to leave. This paradox, that you can only leave what you never truly had, is an entrance to understanding the transitory nature of worldly attachments and the eternity of the self. The interesting thing is that Bhog, attachment or indulgence, and Tyag, renunciation, can indeed be seen as two sides of the same coin. Both are reflections of the mind's relationship with the world, differing only in how they interact with desire and attachment. When we indulge in Bhog or attachment, we are often seeking fulfillment outside ourselves, attaching value to experiences, people, and things. This attachment creates a desire to hold on to or control aspects of life that we believe will satisfy us. But this attachment is not a true union, rather, it is a projection of our inner craving, driven by the ego's need for validation or security. Tyag, in contrast, seems like the opposite, renouncing these attachments. But if Tyag is done with the mindset of rejecting rather than understanding, it too can become a form of attachment, a clinging to the identity of being detached. Because now you want to achieve something while you Tyag. You want that identity. True Tyag happens not by rejection, but by seeing through the nature of our attachments, realizing that they were never truly ours in the first place. In this light, both Bhog and Tyag become experiences that the self witnesses. Bhog leads us outward, immersing us in life's contrasts and connections, while Tyag brings us inward, inviting us to reflect and release. They are reflections in the mirror of consciousness, the same quest for understanding but approached from different perspectives. When we see them both for what they are, the need for either fades, and we're left in a state of pure presence, where there is neither clinging nor renunciation, just being. We think we can possess things through Bhog, grasping the world as if it could fill the spaces within us. We attach ourselves to experiences, to people, to success, believing that with enough attachment we might finally feel whole. But have you noticed? The more you seek, the more fleeting satisfaction becomes. The tighter you hold, the faster it slips away. What you possess in Bhog is never truly yours. It's just borrowed moments and illusions of permanence. And so Tyag comes into play. Renunciation, we think, is the answer. To leave behind all that deceives us. We detach from the world, reject desires, and build a life that seems free from the chains of attachment. Yet, even in renunciation, there is a shadow of attachment, an attachment to the very idea of freedom, to the identity of one who has risen above desire. This too can become another reflection of ego. So, what is there to leave behind? Buddha once stood silent before his wife, Yasodhara, as she asked him if he could have reached enlightenment while living by her side. He had no answer, for he knew leaving the palace walls had not freed him. Enlightenment did not come from walking away, nor could it have come from clinging. Tyag and Bhog, renunciation and attachments, are two sides of the same mirror. Both are illusions. True Tyag is not rejection but realization. It is not about pushing life away or clinging tightly to it, but seeing through it. Understanding that everything we try to own and everything we try to leave behind were never ours in the first place. Nachiketa stood in front of Yamaraj with this same clarity, understanding that he was not asking for something that could be gained or lost, but rather for a truth that was already within him. The self, the true self, the Atman, stands untouched by anger, pride, even desire. It does not need to grasp or let go. for it has never truly been bound. When we see the truth, we understand that there's nothing to renounce, nothing to indulge in. Bhog and Tyag dissolve, and what remains is a simple, pure being. This is when the mirror shatters. There is no reflection, there is no clinging, there is no rejection, just you, free from both attachment and renunciation, standing whole and complete.